Let's put the spotlight then on luxury car sales. They've been on a roll, especially post-COVID, with all that pent-up demand and revenge travel trends. So will these trends sustain? And what's next when it comes to luxury cars in the country? In the latest edition of Mega MNCs in India, my colleague Anisha Jain caught up with Mercedes-Benz India MD and CDO, that is Santosh Iyer. Let's hear out an excerpt of that conversation.
I think post-COVID, we definitely saw a bit of, we call it revenge buying kind of a phenomena. A lot of pent-up demand was also there because for the last 2 years, the overall market was down. And to add to it, we also launched a couple of new products. So we definitely have seen a very big surge in 22. 23, when I look at January, the order intake has been good. So I think the demand momentum still continues. What we have been trying to do is to increase production because, in post-COVID, consumers were ready to wait for 12 months, 18 months for their car. But now in this new world, they want cars at least in 3 to 6 months time, and that's something quite critical. So our entire focus is how do we increase production, how do we now reduce this waiting period. And a higher waiting period also means lower order intake because, as I said, they need cars for some wedding in the family or some birthdays. And if we are unable to provide, then they start feeling, looking out for options, or they postpone their purchases. So the entire game for us is now how do we ramp up our production or increase availability and continue to have a good order bank. Coming to savings, I think these are cultural topics. They won't change COVID, post-COVID as fast as what we would wish to. Frankly, I was referring to the top, interesting statistics. Only 4% of US $1 million households own a luxury car in India.
Oh.
This is 60% in Europe or in China, for example. So my reference point was to the $1 million households who still don't invest on a luxury car, but they would like to invest in stock market. Nothing wrong, but at some point you reward yourself, you consume for yourself, and that was the point which of course got out of proportion. But yeah.
So since you're so confident about demand, and there might be situations and issues with respect to supply chain, but since you're so confident about demand and you did what, just around 16,000 units in 2022,
yes.
Should we expect what, 18 to 20,000 in 2023?
I think there are, one is of course, demand side we still don't see a headwind, but on the supply chain side still things have not fully sorted out. So we are still not able to put a number, can we produce these cars and also sell them. But on the other side, certain other parameters are now emerging. For example, the exchange rate, the euro, if you've seen the last 8 weeks, euro used to be at 82, now it's at 86. This puts more pressure on pricing. Interest rates going up by another 0.5 to 0.7 percentage point. So, of course, with this also increases the monthly outflow, etc. For even many, 80% of luxury cars are still bought on finance.
Yeah,
it's not cash.
Right.
So, and those guys, definitely there would be some amount of sensitivity. So these two factors have a tendency, price increase followed by high cost can have a tendency to again slow down demand. So we need to really wait for the year. But our outlook is still double-digit growth. We still want to continue on this growth journey. We have been here for many years now. And as I said, the initial signs in January looks promising.
Which segment do you see the maximum traction is? Is it like the entry-level cars, or is it the high-end S-Class and Maybach, etc., which are seeing the maximum amount of traction?
No, that's quite interesting. Pre-COVID, our entry-level cars used to be around, say, 30-odd%, and then the top-end segment used to be around 12%. Exactly post-COVID, if you see last year data, 22% are coming from the top end. And when I say top end vehicles, these are cars more than 1 crore of rupees. The S-Class, the GLS, the Maybachs, AMGs. And these cars today, and that's substantial, 22% coming from plus 1 crore out of a volume of 16,000 cars that we are selling. Also the growth, that segment has grown by 69%. And that also shows a lot of affinity. So the good part is Indians are not buying cheap luxury cars. They are buying good cars, well equipped, well specced at the top end. What we have also done consciously is in the so-called entry luxury, which is in the region of 50 lakhs, because even an A-Class today costs close to 50 lakhs and a GLA around 55. I am saying the on-road prices. These cars also we have specced up. So we have not gone with a strategy where we come up with entry-level versions where it doesn't have basic features and you reduce the price. We said that if a consumer is upgrading to luxury, he should get all the basic features, not basic but also all the equipment that's coming in the car, and that should help us. So our strategy is different. No, I would say a price-led strategy. It's more equipment, brand, and of course a good product at the right price points.
Trend that is there at the moment is clearly SUVs, right? A large part of the sales in the last year actually came in from the SUV segment. What are the new product launches that Mercedes has in that category, and what's your own expectation
Sharp curve in
of
200
how
meters.
that particular product is likely to pan out?
See, for us, the product portfolio, we are quite healthy. We have around sedans and SUV, we used to have a share of 50-50. But last year, our SUV share went up to 53%. Two reasons. One, of course, consumer preferences are changing. They want a better body style and a bigger body shape as such. On the other side, our C-Class, which was one of the largest selling sedans we have apart from the E-Class, that was introduced only in May of last year. So for the first 4 months, we didn't have a sedan. So therefore, the percentiles may be misleading. Coming to SUVs, we have the largest portfolio in the segment, from the GLA to the G-Wagon as such. We continue to bet on that. In fact, the 7-seater also we launched was on a classic SUV design. And we will. The good part is you have a portfolio. Even in the sedans, we have a long wheelbase E-Class. So and a customer has a choice to make. But as I said, when I look at a GLA, 25% of female buyers prefer an SUV, prefer a car in that body shape. So this is again differs from region to region. We have more sedans in Bombay, for example, compared to Delhi, where you have more SUV affinity.
Santosh Iyer of Mercedes-Benz. Santosh, now we are in the Chakan facility, the state-of-the-art facility over 100 acres. And the one thing that you were pointing out was that you're looking at ramping up production. Is it fair to say that the entire semiconductor issue is behind us now?
I would say semiconductor to a large extent is behind us, but still the component level supply chain is still a big issue, because we have this crisis in Europe. Many of our tier 2, tier 3 suppliers, they are still struggling to get components. There is energy crisis there, and therefore there are delays for parts. Once we even source the part, there are delays in shipments, and there is a huge logistic issue because ships are not available, containers are delayed, prices have gone up also in the freight industry. So we are still grappling. It's much better than last year, but still a long way to go. So till end of this year, we still feel these issues will continue.
So what's the waiting period right now? What do you plan to bring it down to, and what's the order bank looking like?
See, the order bank is still upwards of 5,000 cars we have right now, and we are still ramping up production. So if I look at a GLA, the waiting period is 3 to 4 months. An S-Class Maybach is 7 to 8 months time. And then we have those top-end vehicles. The G-Wagon used to be a waiting period of 18 to 24 months. And a GLS Maybach again 12 to 18 months. What we have done is, we have discussed with headquarters, we have tried to get additional cars for India, and with this the G-Wagon waiting time will be 9 to 10 months odd. Coming to cars produced in India, the C-Class should be available now in 2 months and the E-Class in 2 to 3 months. So we have really tried to cut down on waiting period and trying to push production as much as possible.
Almost 30 years for Mercedes-Benz in India since 1994, and it's been a great journey so far with respect to the ramp-ups that we have seen. How do you see the next 10 years panning out, and especially in wake of what your global CEO said, that India is not only the fastest growing market, but is also an important part of the supply chain?
See, I keep telling my team that the next 10 years will be much more exciting than what the 30 years happened, for a couple of reasons. One, the industry is going through transformation. We are electrifying the portfolio. 25% of our sales we see in the next 4 to 5 years have to be electric. This won't come by default. We have to set up charging infrastructure, we have to educate the customers, we have to ensure we are able to produce these cars in India. So there is a lot of work to be done. On the other side, India has a role to play in the global scheme of things. As I said, in Bangalore, we have our own sister company, which is called MBRDI, wherein we have 6,000 people working on the future technologies, new operating systems for cars, a lot of digitalization happening there. So when you combine the global contribution from Bangalore, what we do for the Indian market in Pune, I think Mercedes-Benz definitely is poised for the next 10 years, set up very differently for the next 10 years for a, I would say for a very aggressive growth strategy, but it is just not limited to number of cars. It's more limited to what can we contribute by sourcing components from India for the
Right.
world also.
Which is your favorite car? Mercedes, non-Mercedes?
Well, with Mercedes-Benz, S-Class still remains the top-notch car, and therefore when I got into the new job, I was in two minds. But the next one is the EQS because I want to get into the electric myself to drive personally. I drove it for around a couple of weekends. I loved it. But you know, there was this entire thing in life that yes, at some point I will drive an S-Class. So I had to fulfill that, which I took that as my company car. But now the next one is the EQS for me.